Okay, so I have another idea for you. I have no money to get a GPS for my motorcycle that's waterproof. So I have one that I got for my car for Christmas, and I thought, well, I should just use this one and try to figure out how to make it work. So I looked up online to try to figure out how to make it waterproof. I got found some videos that might work. I'll show you the one that I learned from, and I put the link down below so you can check that out. And any other videos that I do, just check the links down below. You'll get some more resources that way in case my videos don't cover everything that you need. So, and if you find anything helpful, just give it a like to let me know, and it'll help a lot. So I'll just go through this with you. Basically, you just take post-it notes and put them all around the border there of the screen, because apparently the most vulnerable part of this is these open cracks right there between the screen and the housing there. So what you need to do is get some clear silicone down in that crack, and a way to make it look nice and uniform is putting post-it notes all around this border thing. So I'll show you that, and we'll get to that point. So you need to leave a little bit of gap in there just so the silicone can squeeze in there. You don't want the post-it note covering up that gap. So it takes a little bit of work to get it just right, but just keep going around like that. So I did notice that you can just kind of get one corner of the post-it note kind of where you want, and then you just hold your finger there and just kind of slowly pivot the other side. That kind of helps out, because it's really hard to get it perfect. I mean, it's just for looks. I mean, it's probably not necessary to get it perfect, but if you want it to look nice, if it's a new GPS, then okay, so I seem to have gotten it about where I want it. So I've just put these post-its right on the edge with just a little bit of a gap, maybe like a millimeter or something, just so I know that when the silicone squeezes in those, it's going to get in there pretty thoroughly and not have the paper in the way. At least I hope so. So so the next step is just getting a piece of cardboard that you can cut into a little square, so you can have kind of a little spatula to work with. So once you get that, then you can get silicone. Okay, this is going to come out white, but it is clear, so it'll dry clear. At least it better. But I've seen this before. It usually comes out like looking like it's white. Just make sure you get the clear stuff. So just make sure you keep your fingers on that Post-it note. Just make sure it's down there. So you want to put pressure on that edge just so it squeezes up in there. And we'll clean this up after, so it's not going to be so bad. Now the video I was watching for this technique, the guy was talking about his brand of GPS. My brand is a little bit different style. The general concept is the same, so I just kind of, took what he said and applied it to this. He was talking about making sure all those silicone gets in there in that crack, and that's going to be the most important part. He also was talking about the other vulnerable spots are like the button on top. This one has a SIM card insert there. I'll probably have to cover that up with tape or something, and then the power plug in there. I don't know if that's completely vulnerable or not. It may not be that big of a deal. And then the speaker area, this other guy was talking about that, and he just said you could put tape over that, or he said it's not completely necessary, but I'm gonna put tape over it. And then these cracks, I might even put this silicone clear stuff around these cracks where it comes together, the two pieces. I'd feel a lot better that way. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put it around the button, but who knows, maybe I will. I don't think it's going to ruin it because the silicone is pretty, stretchy, so it'll. But I don't know. I don't want to risk putting it in there and then I don't have a power button. So I'll just finish this up, and then I'm going to see what I'm going to do after that. So my little spatula is kind of getting a little used and squishy. But I have pushed that in there like crazy, so I know that this stuff is getting in that crack in there. So I know this will be sealed. I'm pretty confident of that at this point. Okay, so I got that far. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go all around right now. I might do it later, but at least this is done, so I can just kind of clean it up around the edge. And once it dries, it's also going to be like a, what do you call it? It'll be like rubber cement, where you can just rub your fingers together and it'll just ball up. Like, it'll just come off. Okay, well, I got this cleaned up to a point where I'm going to take these off. So, and it's not the end of the world if you get a little bit messy there, but when it dries, you could actually kind of clean it up around there. Just get a really soft tool or something that's not going to scratch the screen, and just kind of clean it up around there. But I really feel like I got a nice good seal around that to a point where I can feel pretty confident that it's gonna keep the water out. So that's the main part that we're worried about, and it's gonna save money because I don't have to buy another GPS just for it to be waterproof for the motorcycle trip. So I'm always looking for ways to save money in life, and so I provide a lot of resources on my channel. So whatever I find, I share with you guys, so everybody can benefit from it. So even if my videos aren't completely or fit yours, at least I share the videos that I found that that'll probably work with you. So at least come back to the channel for resources. So anyway, this is the first step, and we'll get to the next step later, because I have to think about what I'm going to do around this seal here. So we'll get to that point. Okay, so it is a little bit later. I'll let the silicone dry a little bit. So I noticed some spots that didn't quite get all the way in there. I don't know if you could see those spots or not, but I guess I didn't get enough in there. So when it started to harden, it kind of pulled off and pulled to the side and left a little gaping hole in there. So I decided I'm gonna just go over it again and then clean it off. And I gave it some thought, and I'm probably just gonna go ahead and put the silicone all around this edge where the two pieces come together, just to make sure that there's going to be no leakage whatsoever. And then I'm just going to tape over this speaker part, and then maybe put some tape over this, and then tape over the SIM card thing. And then maybe I'll put some silicone in those where the screws go in. This is going to save me quite a bit of money just by not having to go and buy one that's waterproof. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this over again and do the edges and then tape it up, and then it should be I mean waterproof. I'm going to have pretty good confidence that it'll work for what I'm doing. And then I'll give it a little test on the motorcycle just to spray it down and see what happens. But I think as long as this edge is sealed up in there, I'm going to feel pretty good at that point, and then the rest of it is just kind of bonus. So I'll get it to that point and we'll give it a test. Okay, so that's looking a lot more better to me. Let's see. I don't really see anything right now, so I don't see any gaping holes. This will be a little bit better. I'm going to put the silicone all around the edge next time when this dries, and then I'll clean this up a little bit just by rub it either with my finger, or I'll use a shirt or a washcloth or something and just rub the rest of that off, and then we'll test it out. So I'm very curious to see if this will work. I'm pretty confident. I mean, it doesn't seem like it wouldn't work. So I'm going to go ahead and just, even before this dries, I'm just going to go ahead and just put the silicone around this edge, and it shouldn't take much. Just do it with my finger all the way around, and I'm still debating whether or not I want to do it over that button. It may not be that big of a deal just to go over that, because silicone is pretty easy to, just push over that and it'll still activate the button. So let's just see how this goes. So this is a messy procedure. You got to have a lot of skill when you're using your finger. Basically, I just take the edge of my finger and I just kind of roll my finger as I go down the line there. And it takes some practice, but usually you could get pretty good little consistent line there. I mean, that's probably way more than I need, but you can get a little more precise if there isn't as much on my finger like there is now. So I'm just going to reduce the amount on my finger, and you could do that with a lot of different things like this method. I mean, I've noticed that it works with, so you use a little bit there and you just kind of, it's almost like scraping off your finger while you go down, and you get a nice little line right just like that. So you just kind of scrape your finger off. I found that as a good method. I mean, you may have other methods that you like, but it's basically I just got a nice little film there, and then just do the rest of it. And after it's in the crack, you can just kind of scoop up the excess and then do it over again. So you can see I got a nice little bead, I don't know what you call it, fill in the cracks there. And later when it dries I'll just brush it up, but I did notice that this looks like a crack, but that's just a part of the design. It's not really, it's part of the shell on top, so I really don't need to put silicone in there. Silicone, whatever you call it. Silicone? And the guy that I was watching on that other video, and I'll put his link there too so you can see what he did. The guy I was watching, he said that, you know, filling in this isn't really all that necessary, but I want to, just because I've never done this before, and I don't know how effective this method is actually. So I don't want to go through, you know, a $100 and something experiment. I mean, this I did get this for Christmas, so I didn't have to spend that money on this, but I just don't want to take the risk that this could be a different design that he's thinking about. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill in that button area, and I don't think it'll be that detrimental. I don't think it'll hurt that button because the silicone is flexible, so it'll still flex and still keep that sealed. I mean, theoretically I'm not all that worried about that. I mean, it's just so I'm committed, so I did it. And if it comes down to it, I could also open this thing back up, or open it up and just clean it out. I've learned that you just don't be afraid of modifying stuff, and don't be afraid of fixing things. I mean, sometimes you just know when something, you don't have the right tools or whatever, and you need to get some help, or if you don't have time. That's usually one thing, but I usually like doing things on my own and figuring out creative ways of making things work. It saves money, it does take time, but what you're doing is you're giving yourself an education, and you're going to be able to have skills for doing something else in the future. And so the whole process of frustration and research and trying to work out the bugs and the problems that come out in your do-it-yourself stuff, I really think it's worth it, because you just gained an education through that and a skill. And I've been able to apply skills from other things that I've researched, and I just usually take a Saturday and just research a bunch, experiment, try things out. I try not to take too many huge risks, but I try to make a judgment call on that. But I usually try to not be afraid to fix things or do things myself. So, and then you'll have ideas and for other people and for future projects that they may not have thought of before. And then you'll be able to make a YouTube channel and make money off of your ideas. I don't really have a lot of viewers, but I really like that there's information out there. I really like that, you know, not everything is perfect for what I want to see. Like, it may not go with my brand that I'm using, or may not be exactly what I'm looking for, but at least it gives me ideas. And there's so much information out there now. In fact, my brother was working on his van, and he thought it was going to be just a simple, you know, hook up your hitch that you buy, and, you know, hook up the electrical components, and you're set up. And he watched a video on it, and there was a couple things that he knew was going to be very frustrating if he didn't know about, if he was just doing it on his own. So, and that was just kind of like an obscure video, and he saved hours just by watching somebody else and learning from their mistakes. So I just went ahead and I sealed a whole bunch of things around it. All the major seals, or not seals, but every major seam or whatever. And the SIM card thing and the speaker part, I'm just going to tape over it. But everything else, I think I'm going to clean everything else up to make it look nicer, but I'm pretty confident in it now at this point. So we'll just let that dry, and then we'll do a little test. Okay, so it's had some time to dry. Basically, I could go around and clean this off to make it look nicer, but I really don't care. I'm just looking for it to be waterproof. It looks like this button is still okay because that silicone stuff is just rubbery, so I can still feel it engaging there. So anyway, I'm just gonna tape over this speaker area and the SIM card area, and those are the only two places that water can get in. The little inlet there, I don't know, or the outlet, or inlet, I don't know if that's a vulnerable spot or something that I can actually get waterproofed. From the other video that I saw, the guy didn't say that it's vulnerable. I'm just going to go ahead and try to tape over it anyways, and then poke a hole through where the plug goes in and just kind of plug it like that. But yeah, let's do that. I'm not sure if that's completely sealed, but I don't think it's incredibly vulnerable right there. I just am worried about the other major spots. So I think it looks pretty good. So I basically from here I just kind of go with my gut and how I feel about this, because I wanted to make it pretty thorough and a good seal all around. Since I've never done this before, I don't really have any experience to go off of this other than other YouTube videos and my own gut feeling. And well, my gut feeling is I think it'll be okay, just because those major parts around the, you know, those cracks and around the perimeter are the major parts of it, and then I just taped up, you know, those other parts that are that I know that would be vulnerable. But the major parts are covered, so I feel pretty good about it. So we'll give her a test, put it on the motorcycle, and then just spray it down with water, see if anything happens. Okay, I have it hooked up to the bike. This is a, by the way, this is a just a thing I had to make for it. This is a GoPro stand. When I bought the motorcycle, it already had this on there, and then my brother had this clip in there, and then I had to figure out how to get this Garmin holder here with the ball on the end to connect with this. So I just made it happen, made it work, and it saved some money on getting a new, you know, made for Garmin motorcycle mount or whatever. So let's get the power going in there, and then let's give this a test. Okay, there it is. Ready to navigate. Okay, so let me get some water going here. And we got this little weird sprinkly thing on this. It's for my brother's kids. I guess that'll work okay. Okay, so I don't know, this is my first time using this. Let's just put a little bit at a time and see what it happens. I am a little nervous about it, but I am also pretty confident about it. Just because I was pretty thorough with putting the seal around those cracks, so I just thought logically it's gotta work. I don't know, I've never done it before, so it is, you know, there's a risk to it, but you just have to kind of gauge what you want to risk out of saving money, you know. But you could also do something thorough enough to feel pretty good about it and pretty confident. So, well, to me, it looks like it's still working, and it looks like no water is seeping in there, because you would see it start to leak up into that screen because of the capillary action. So I don't know, I would say it's a success. I doused a whole bunch of water on that too, so it's a matter of I guess testing it over time. But everything navigates fine. I don't see why the controls wouldn't work if the screen's on. So anyway, looks like it's working. And the button, let's just try the button. Hold it down, see if it powers off. See, the button still works. Turn off. So I was right about the button part. So that feels good. So we'll try turning it back on, see if it still comes on. Yeah, it's booting up. Agree. Yeah, I'd say this works. I would say success. So thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up if any of this helped, or if it sparked any ideas. That would help me a lot. And if this didn't quite fill your needs, check the links below. They're going to have more videos. That's going to have a lot more resources for you to look at. So check out my other videos on my channel called Extreme Budget. There's going to be a lot more subjects on there, giving you some ideas on how you can save and live on an extreme budget and do-it-yourself type of things. And I'm still trying to get more videos out there. It's overwhelming right now, but I'm still going to try to get them out there. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear about it, but good luck out there.